I think it's time for She-Ra.
For the honor of GRAYSKULL!
She-Ra, She-Ra.
Hello, this is OptimusSolo, and welcome to the 62nd chapter in our Powers of Grayskull series. With me for this journey into the Masters of the Universe franchise, as he has been for the other 61 chapters, is TFG1Mike. Hello.
62, you know what that means, don't you?
I'm waiting for a reference.
Well, there's no reference. Means She-Ra, we only have 20 left, because She-Ra ends at 82.
There we go. And this is the past the halfway mark, because I believe She-Ra was, 93? 93 episodes, so it is the halfway point, because we're at 46. So
yep.
Add that together, that's 92. So we're passing the halfway mark right here. So are you ready for more Myths of Etheria?
Yeah, I guess.
the excitement is just exuding from your...
No. It's okay. So didn't we have an episode somewhere called The Reluctant Wizard?
Yes.
At this point, I'm more like the reluctant podcaster when it comes to this show, because I just don't know what the hell to expect out of it anymore.
The good thing is sometimes it surprises you. So in this episode of Myths of Etheria, we'll be giving you our thoughts on episode 46, Micah of Bright Moon, episode 47, The Price of Power, and episode 48, Birds of a Feather. So we hope you're ready, because it's time to go back to Etheria.
Oh, flocking together.
Attention, fugitive. Return to Horde World or face the consequences. If you return now, Horde Prime will be easy on you. You have 10 seconds to turn back.
Never. I've been in prison on your evil world for too long. I'm not going back there.
You won't escape us, Micah. I don't know how you managed to launch the ship without any technical knowledge. But if you don't turn around, I will have my robot squadron take you forcibly.
Forget it, Prime. I'm not turning back.
Then you leave me no choice. Robots, attack!
Warning. New fighters approaching.
Oh, no.
All right, we start today with episode 46, Micah of Bright Moon, air date Friday, November 8th, 1985. That's how we ended our week back there in 1985. Written by Robert Lamb. Micah, Glimmer's long-lost father, escapes from Horde World, but when he finally reaches Etheria, falls into the clutches of Hunga the Harpy. So, two questions for you when we go to this plot. Number one, how does it work here? How does it work for you that we're getting to see Glimmer's father and kind of the backstory for that? And it's been a long time since we've seen Hunga the Harpy. So how did...
It was episode 46, right?
Yeah.
It was episode 4 or 5 of the opening 5 part. I forget when they originally... I think is it episode... I forget which one of the Secret of the Sword things. Right. I know it's one of the later ones because they have to go save whatever the hell, Angela. First of all, who's doing Harpy's voice?
There's two.
Hunga.
Doing the Hunga one?
Yeah, not the underlings, the Hunga one.
Melanie Britt's doing one of them, and Erica Scheimer's doing the other. I can't remember which is which.
Yeah,
I'll have to look
Hunga
it up
does
real
not
quick.
sound the same now that she did back in, like, something happened between the original time that she was here and now, because she just sounds so horrible now.
Well, I mean, she looks horrible too, so that could be.
Hunga the horrible, not Hunga the harpy, Hunga the horrible.
Yeah, but well, before we get to that, what about the whole long lost father angle and getting some backstory for Glimmer?
It is what it is. I mean, the long lost father bit has been done for years before this cartoon. It's been done years after this cartoon. They've never really explained it, so at least here we get an explanation.
And for the record, Hunga is voiced by Melanie Britt.
Yeah, as much as I like her as Adora and She-Ra, I'm sorry, Melendi. You did something to your voice, or they did something to your vocoder or something, because she just sounds so horrible in this episode.
You know, I saw the title of this episode, Micah of Bright Moon, and it sounded like the most retarded episode. Pardon my non-PC-ness, but it just sounded like a lame episode. And I had no idea it was going to have anything to do with Glimmer's backstory, her father, Queen Angela, etc. So I was surprised at that, and I also I had completely even forgotten that Hunga existed.
Yeah.
So it was interesting when all of a sudden she came back. Like, why hasn't she been a part of the last 40 episodes?
Yeah.
At least here and there.
I like the episode. I don't have a problem with like I said, it's a standard kid. It's basically giving us backstory on Angela,
Right.
Glimmer, and Micah, and it's also giving us seeing Hunga again and seeing that rivalry between the Kingdom of Bright Moon and the Harpies and all that. But yeah, I mean, I don't dislike this episode at all. I mean, there's not really a whole hell of a lot in the plot. I mean, I hate to say this, and I say this all the time, but there are just times where the plot is just standard plot. I'm sure we could sit here all night and list off the standard plots that have been used since the beginning of entertainment time. I mean, you know.
I mean, I think this one gives us a little bit, since we're going into a particular character's backstory a tiny bit. So, but like you said, that has been done somewhat before in other cartoons, where a relative or an uncle or a dad or a mom or whatever comes into the picture all of a sudden. So it's not like it's completely unique, but I'll take it much more than the villain of the week or the annoying child of the week episodes. So
absolutely. And I mean, if you look at it, really, this whole series is founded on Star Wars.
Right. There's a lot of Star Wars moments here. Luke
and Leia, Adam, Adora, kidnapped, blah, 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 separated at birth, blah. I mean, you know.
The Horde Troopers, the Stormtroopers, yeah.
Yeah.
We've even seen lightsabers and etc. I forgot to do it, but we have Hordak, Tongue Lashor, Imp, Horde Prime, and some Horde Troopers. We have She-Ra, Swiftwind, Bo, Glimmer, Queen Angela, and then, of course, Hunga, Gata, which is one of the other Harpies, and King Micah. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with our first mentions of the good things we found in Whispering Woods.
And your father has been missing all these years?
Yes. I think about him all the time. Mother misses him terribly, especially today. It's their wedding anniversary.
I understand. Give her my best wishes.
I will. So long, Bo. Oh, Father, where are you? Why, of course, Father. You may have this dance. You're such a fine dancer, Father. Oh, I could dance with you forever. Oh, 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 oh no! You are thirsty, aren't you, Spirit?
Just a little more, Adora. Then I will be ready to go.
Good. We don't want to be late. Queen Angela is expecting us. Help! Somebody help me! That sounds like Glimmer.
She must be in trouble. We'd better change.
I'm way ahead of you.
For the honor of Grayskull! I am She-Ra!
Up with wind.
She must be around here somewhere.
But where?
She-Ra and Swiftwind! Help! Help! I'm down here. They don't hear me. Oh, if only I could signal them. I wonder. This crystal light might catch She-Ra's attention. She-Ra! Swiftwind! Help!
What's that flashing down there?
I don't know, but let's check it out. Down, Swifty.
Help! She-Ra!
It's Glimmer. Faster, Swifty. Hold on. I'm coming.
Thank you, She-Ra. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Now let's get back to the top.
All right, we find ourselves in the Whispering Woods for the first time today. Start with you, Mike. What were the things you liked most about Micah of Bright Moon, or the episode that he appeared in?
Okay, so it's... This episode is so filled with Transformers and Star Wars references. Something about his release or something made me flash to, why do you throw your life away so recklessly? That's a question you should ask yourself, Micatron. He got Red 3. That's just not even right. And then Red Leader to Red Squad. It's a trap. Wedge, you're hit. Get out of there. This is the first time we've seen the Harpies since Secret of the Sword. Like we said in the plot, where the hell have they been? Like, yeah. And like we've said before,
a more skilled, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but a more skilled or a more caring or a more passionate fan of the series, if they were writing this episode, would have easily just thrown like a quick one-liner or a quick like 2 or 3 lines of dialogue to at least address the fact that we haven't seen these guys in whatever.
I mean, Robert Lamb has done some. I think.
No, I'm just saying, like, if they were really super invested into and knowing that it's been so long, they would have addressed it in some way, shape, or form. But he just kind of says, "Well, you know this character, and we're throwing him back at you."
I think the one character that steals the entire episode, honestly, is Tongue Lashor in his exchanges with Hordak.
Oh my god!
Like, oh my god! I told you, don't use your tongue on the country. It's disgusting.
I don't know why they haven't used him in this way before, but he is excellent as a humor element.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, you know, we always laugh at Montana and stuff like that because Montana's the other humor horde member. But yeah, no, Tongue Lashor is just absolutely. I just love him so much. What about you? What'd you like about this?
I'll start by bouncing off of your Tongue Lashor one because, first of all, it's how long they continue and keep that joke going. Because at first it's complaining from one of the other horde members. I don't remember. It must have been Imp that was complaining or something about him. And so Hordak says no tongues on the equipment, and then orders him to wipe off that console. To which Tongue Lashor actually brings out a spray bottle and a towel and cleans it off. And then, like a scene later, when he's taken off in his own little ship, he leans back and crosses his legs and then controls it with his tongue. So they keep going back to it. So it was really funny the way they did that. And I just like Hordak having to plead with his horde troopers to not be so gross. And some of Hordak's lines are hilarious. So I also like that we start out in space.
Yep.
kind of on another, obviously in a Horde world and dealing with this kind of ship battles and et cetera, and dealing with Horde Prime. And it's also cool that we see that Horde Prime is somewhere else in the universe doing things.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've always known that Horde, like, I think the last time we saw him was Horde Prime Takes a Holiday. I think is the last time we saw him so far in this point.
Mhm.
I could be wrong about that, but I think that like there might have been like a message back and forth, or but like actually having him in an episode. And back then in Horde, last Christmas with Horde Prime Takes a Holiday, when we did that, it was like, oh, okay, so Hordak has a boss, all right, and he lives on Horde World. And what is so interesting to me about it is that Horde World is its own world, and like I knew because I knew originally, when I saw some of this as a kid, that they had to have your standard. There had to be some sort of castle and some sort of mountain or zone, or good and evil on Etheria. Like you got GRAYSKULL and Snake Mountain on Eternia, so you had to have either the Crystal Castle or Castle Bright Moon, Whispering Woods, whatever in the Fright Zone. But it's like I almost think this show would have been so much better if they were basically fighting on two different planets. Think of Druidia and Spaceball 1, or Planet Spaceball, or think of it's the Voltron, Eris and Planet Doom.
Mhm.
Like I really almost think they almost missed something here, having the whole. I mean, I get the premise, but I don't know. But yeah, seeing Horde Prime.
The other thing that goes with that is that this time, going from one planet to another or one zone to another is shown via flight, which I think is more effective than the consistent method that we get where they're just going through a portal or they're walking through some magical door and they show up here, there, and the other, because you don't get a sense of where the worlds are or how they all exist together when you do that. But when you see that there's this journey from one to another, it makes it more real for me a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see that they could have done some stuff with involving world-to-world combat or some things like that. I could have dug that. Also, the weird thing is the first time we saw Horde Prime in Horde Prime Takes a Holiday, all we really saw was an arm.
Mm-hmm.
And now in this time, he's more depicted as, you can see his eyes.
Yeah.
And you can see him as a being almost. So they've depicted him in two different ways, which I thought is interesting to see how they're going to, what Horde Prime actually looks like. Obviously, interesting backstory on Glimmer having a father. For some reason, I've never even considered the fact that she has a father or who her father would be or anything else. It's always just been Glimmer and Queen. And
yeah, all as I can think of is Queen Angela forged her from clay. it's Themyscira all over again.
Yeah. We got to see Glimmer as a child, so that was interesting, seeing the younger version of Glimmer.
Thank God she got rid of the purple hair.
Obviously seeing the Harpies again. Also an interesting angle to let Queen Angela fight. In this one, where She-Ra gives her the sword and lets her fight her own battle. I mean, might not be the wisest choice to give someone else the protection sword there.
Sword of protection.
But still interesting that she noticed and acknowledged that, hey, this is Angela's fight and she needs to do this. And also interesting to see, the Harpies' home base. Obviously, we haven't seen that.
Talon Mountain, yeah, we haven't seen that since that first episode. And again, it goes back to, we've got all of these areas on Etheria, and we've seen so little of them. Like, majority of the episodes, Whispering Woods, the Fright Zone, maybe it's Village of Thamor, or
Bright Moon or something.
Maybe it's Bright Moon. Rarely in most of these, between episode 1 and episode 46, Bright Moon is like sporadically used. It's not like used we don't see it every single episode.
Right.
Basically, what we see every single episode is the Whispering Woods and the Fright Zone. So it's like, okay, this is kind of cool seeing this, and I just think though that they have so many misuses of the areas. Like, they're not, like, on Eternia, they connected pretty much everything.
A lot of it, yeah.
You got Avion, you got Subternia, you got Buzz Off and the Bezos or whatever they're supposed to be called, and you got all that stuff. You got Snake Mountain. All that stuff is connected. But Etheria, through 46 episodes, it just feels like a pre-Pangea kind of thing, where it's like, or right after Pangea, where it's like, hey, we're gonna split everybody up now, and no one's gonna see anybody.
Right.
Travel over an ocean to get to someplace.
Yeah, I get a lot of that too. Moving into the Fright Zone, though, what were any drawbacks from this episode that you didn't really like?
Sword to blanket. I give up. I just give up. I just give up. I'm done. Anybody else? Anybody listening that wants to keep counting sword to change whatever the hell it is? Go ahead, because I'm done. I'm just fucking done.
Well, did you have a specific count that we were at?
No. I have to go back and listen to all the episodes and count. But it's like, you see those moments where it's like, oh my God, you just blew my mind, and it's like, oh no, I'm like lasso, lariat, shield, tennis racket. Tennis racket was bad, but no, I'm sorry, sword to blanket is even worse.
Blanket's the worst thing we've seen.
Yeah,
the fact that you would want to have a blanket in that instance is bizarre. Anything else for you?
What about you?
One problem here. Number one, at the beginning, Glimmer is screaming for help as she's, dangling off the cliff or whatever. So She-Ra can hear her scream, but somehow can't find her unless she has that crystal reflecting. Like, if you can hear somebody, you can usually find them, especially if you're She-Ra and you're flying on a unicorn. Like, you just go until the sound gets louder. This is Boy Scouts 101 here. I mean, I don't know why she had to have the crystal to reflect to show where she was. I also did have something written down about Hunga's voice, and my problem with the voice was not the sound of it, but especially at the beginning, it's the pace that either she's saying the words or that the dialogue or the audio is being played at. Because the pace makes no sense. It's not like a natural rhythm.
Yeah.
And so it makes the words sound very jarring how they're coming out. It's like, is this being sped up? Is she not talking like...
See, that's the thing. It's like, I don't want to really, hinder Melendi on it. I think, like you're saying, I think one of the audio engineers fucked up and did something to the, perfect example of this. Way back when, years and years and years ago, when I was still a little podcaster doing TFG1, we were going to have a supplemental episode reviewing the Beverly Hills Cop films. And somehow, some way, some weird, stupid shit happened, and I lost both my audio and Steve's audio. The only audio that's in the episode is Mike Dodds from thisweekingeek.net. And this is back before I was editing stuff. So this is back before I learned how to edit. So I had Steve edit the episode. Well, he did. I don't think he did this on purpose, but I think he might have told me he did it on purpose. He took the Bob Seger Shakedown song that's in Beverly Hills Cop 2, and basically he slowed it down so it sounds like... He did something to it where it's not the normal track. And I think that's the thing here with the voice of Hunga. It's not that Melendi is doing something wrong. It's one of the audio engineers hit a slow motion button or something, or like you said, the pacing is off.
Yeah, it just sounded weird to me. Sword to blanket, I echo that.
I give up.
And then my only issue with the episode, we see this so many times in these types of cartoons, and usually it's more explainable because it's some random good character, some random bad character, whatever. They've crash landed, they visited the planet, whatever. They go through an adventure, and at the end they leave and they go back home. Okay, whatever. It's a clever way to get characters off of the planet so we don't have to address that they're not being talked to ever again in the history of the show. Micah, for some reason, number one, I didn't understand why he was trapped on Horde World. I must have missed that dialogue or something. I didn't understand why all of a sudden he was able to get out of there. But either way, he ends up on Etheria, reunited with his wife and his child, who he has not seen in since probably 10 years, at least 15 years, something like that. Because the last flashback was Glimmer as what we could assume would be like a 5 or 6 year old, maybe 7 year old, and clearly now she's probably somewhere between 16 and 20. Just taking a stab in the dark here. So he has not seen this family in a long time. Clearly there was no bad blood. There was not a feud. There was not something that caused a separation or a divide in this family. It was just he was going off. He was the king, and he wanted to go fight the Horde to protect his family, whatever. And then he gets trapped there longer, obviously, than he should, or than he wanted to, than he planned to. So now you're back, and you're just going to leave again.
Yeah, this is the same thing that happened with the Madame Raz story that we talked about.
Like, this is not an instance where that makes sense then to jettison him off of the planet. Like, regardless of if you don't want to have to continue to have him in plots, like, you needed some type of better way. Like, he got trapped again, or something happens, or whatever. But for him to choose now, when he's been gone for, let's say, 15 years, to just abandon his family once again, and as a king, kings don't usually do that. You usually have somebody else do that. As a king of an area, you're not supposed to leave.
Yeah, I mean, didn't he say he was going to go fight?
Yeah, he's going to go fight the Horde.
Prime. I mean,
But you're a king.
You're right. I'm not saying you're not right. I'm saying that I see your point, and that I see that
this would be different if it was like a...
explain him not being in any future episodes as he's off fighting Horde Prime on Horde World.
See, that would make more sense for someone that's like a mercenary, or somebody that's a warrior. Like, even like, I don't know, like take Man-at-Arms, for example. Well, he's kind of connected to the royal family, but take somebody else.
Seahawk.
Yeah, somebody like that. Like, that would make sense for them to go fight. But when you're King Randor, you can't go off to another planet to fight the evil warriors. So, and not to mention the fact that you haven't seen your family in 15 years. I know they tried to make it better, and they say that, oh, I'll stick around for a while, and I'll spend some time with you guys first. But yeah, I don't know about that. I had a problem with that. And the PSA was about family being important, but not important enough to apparently stay with them. So
I'm so done with the PSAs.
You're done with the PSAs. You're done with Sword to Blankets. You're done with a lot of things here. I guess I'm going to have to go solo the rest of the way.
I give up on... I'm so... Like, the Sword of Protection loses all credibility after that. I mean, seriously.
All right, well, on that note, we're going to take a quick break, and we're coming back to see who gets hardware one way or the other, positive or negative. I got a little of both to hand out.
What's that?
Look, Mother, a falling star.
Wait, Glimmer. That's no falling star. It's a Horde spaceship.
There's the runaway cruiser that Horde Prime told us to look for. Almighty Hordak.
Does he have to use his tongue to push the buttons? Ugh, yuck.
Tongue lasher. How many times must I tell you?
I know. No tongues on the equipment.
All right, first chance to hand out some hardware. Mike, Horde Bat or Protection Sword, any?
Horde Bat to the idiot audio engineer that ruined Hunga's voice.
The rare audio engineer getting...
Yeah. This is the first time for everything on this show.
Anything else?
Yeah, Micah. I mean, I was going to give him a Protection Sword, but yeah, you're right. He basically abandons his family again, so I'll give him a Horde Bat. And that's about it for Horde Bats. Protection Swords, I do like Glimmer and Angela in this, so I'll give them a Protection Sword each.
All right, so lots of hardware given out for you. I'll echo part of that. I will give a Horde Bat to Micah. You abandon your family, and I don't necessarily think you had the reasoning to do that. And for Protection Swords, I'm going to give one to the Queen Angela. Not one of my favorite characters at all, but I do like the fact that she fought her own battle, that she took it to the Harpies, and that she was defending her family, etc. So I got to give her props for that. I can't give one to Glimmer just because she found herself hanging off of a cliff, and she should be better than that. Episode rating for this one. How many Crystal Castles out of 5 do you give Micah of Bright Moon?
I give it a 3.5. It wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be, but it wasn't as horrible as a Villain of the Week episode.
Yeah, and maybe it's just because I've been longing so much for backstory and for something, and we get to know who Glimmer's dad is. We get to know why he's not in the picture. We get some return of the Harpies. So there was enough for me to enjoy it. I like the action in this for the most part. I mean, outside of Sword to Blanket, everything else, as far as the actual action and the dialogue, plus, I mean, Tongue Lasher and Hordak elevate this one to me for a 4 out of 5. So it's just a notch above you with a 4 out of 5 on this one. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking how much does power cost.
$99.95. Call today.
Why so glum, Auden?
It'll take forever to gather up all the firewood this way. Be a lot easier if we used magic.
True, but easier isn't always better.
Oh, Norwin, you're too old-fashioned.
Well, maybe so, but as your teacher, I am supposed to teach you more than magic. Now, I'm going inside. When you've finished piling up the firewood, we'll go into the village, maybe stop at the inn for something to eat.
Maybe he won't notice a little spell. Forces of forest, hill and tree, gather up this wood for me. Wow! This'll give us enough wood to last the entire winter.
All right, Auden, are you ready? You used your magic, didn't you?
Oh, I guess you noticed, eh?
We'll discuss this further when we come back from the village. Now, come along.
This is not my day.
I am He-Man. Call She-Ra and me at 1-900-909-2233.
We'll journey to distant worlds, explore the universe.
And probably battle Skeletor along the way, huh?
Probably, Orko. There's a new adventure every day. We'll also tell you how to get an action figure or this colorful poster. Get your parents' permission and call 1-900-909-2233.
I have the power! That's right, folks. Listen to He-Man and She-Ra stories for $1.99 a minute.
All right, next up today is episode 47, The Price of Power. Air date Monday, November 11th, 1985. Writer J. Michael Straczynski. A young apprentice joins Shadow Weaver, but his teacher goes to save him along with She-Ra. We have Hordak, Shadow Weaver, Mantenna. We have She-Ra, Madame Raz, Broom, Swiftwind. We have Norwin. We have the recurring character, Garv the Innkeeper. We have Nightfire and a little boy named Arden. What are your thoughts about this story, which, again, backstory here, the backstory of Shadow Weaver and, in a way, some other characters with how they get their power and what they're doing with it, and apparently a age-old feud between Shadow Weaver and the magician Norwin. What did you think about this one?
I love J. Michael Straczynski's writing on this and the He-Man series, but it took him forever. Like, I was expecting to get the Shadow Weaver backstory like 2 scenes before we actually got it, and I'm like, give me a break. Give me the story already. Stop dragging it out.
Right.
Because we were already teased with her backstory a number of episodes ago when her and Castaspella faced off with each other. It's like they've been just teasing us with this Shadow Weaver backstory for months and months now, it seems. Like, oh, God. Just tell us already. It's another kid episode. Whatever. I like the backstory. I like the the Merlin type character in Narn or Norn or Norwin or whatever his name is.
Norwin is correct.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, no, I don't know. Price of Power, $199.95.
All right. I mean, I'm a big fan of backstory, so I will eat it up with double helpings of whatever backstory you want to serve me. And I like the whole magician aspect because there always has been some mystery between Shadow Weaver, etc. So I was all on board based on the plot. So it was just going to come down to how they executed it. I was a little worried because we have a young apprentice named Arden, and sometimes whenever you have young characters, we know what happens with that. So I was a little apprehensive, but I was on board based on the premise. So we'll have to take a quick break and see how the execution came down and if there's more Whispering Woods or Fright Zone moments coming up.
Innkeeper, we're here to pick up the supplies we ordered.
But you haven't paid me for the last supplies I gave you.
Oh? Then perhaps you'd care to discuss your payment with Shadow Weaver.
Shadow Weaver? No, never mind. I'll get the supplies for you. You can load them up out back.
Shadow Weaver. I've heard of her. She's supposed to have some of the strongest magic in all Etheria. Was she always that powerful?
No, she was a passable sorceress. But then, one night, all that changed.
You mean she became that powerful in one night? How?
It's a long, sad story, Arden. And I'll tell it to you someday when you're old enough to understand.
I understand. This may be just the chance I've been looking for.
That's the last of it. Let's go.
This is my chance. Do I take it or not? Norwin's a good teacher, but so old-fashioned. He does everything the hard way, the slow way. And Shadow Weaver got all her power in one night. That's the way for me. Here goes.
Arden? Arden, where are you?
All right, we're back in the Whispering Woods. Mike, what did you have good to say about the Price of Power?
I should really insert crickets here somewhere.
No good moments?
I think it's an interesting character design on the Dark Riders. I wish they'd show up more. I mean, like I said, I liked it, but if it wasn't so drug out, I would have enjoyed it more. Like, they did just constantly teasing us with this Shadow Weaver story. And we don't even really get the true... Like, we do get the true story, but it just took forever for me. The kid... Do these people not know that the Horde... Do most Etherians not know that the Horde runs the planet? Like, seriously? You're going to sit here and pull a Ed Weiner, or you're going to pull a Jeremy, you're going to pull something from Eternia and say, oh, well, I just want to go see Shadow Weaver so I can take the easy road. And don't get me wrong, folks. You know, I know all about, you know, having to put in the hard work to get something out of it and everything else. And I also know of trying to take the easy path, and it doesn't always work. And it just seemed like this episode was more of a life less like it's probably one of the more teaching episodes of this series as far as the whole moral of the story goes. But yeah, the Dark Rider design was pretty much the only thing I wrote down.
I think I'm going to be a little bit higher than you on this episode. First of all, the backstory for Shadow Weaver, I like that. Dark Riders are cool looking. I agree with you on that one. Not only do we learn that there's a backstory for Shadow Weaver and that this Norwin taught Shadow Weaver, but we also find out that he taught Castaspella as well. And they even do a flashback where we get to see a young version of Castaspella and Shadow Weaver side by side learning from Norwin. So that speaks volumes to the connection between Castaspella and Shadow Weaver as well. And then we also get to see that how Shadow Weaver became Shadow Weaver. Like, she's getting that power from the crystal, and it's basically turning her into this old, decrepit body, and she only got 1/3 of the power, we find out, before Norwin blew the crystal up. So if she would have gotten 2/3 or 3/3 of that power, imagine what she would be like. She also demasks for the first time that I think of first time ever. And granted, we don't get to see it, but based on the Arden's reaction, it's not a pleasant sight to see what Shadow Weaver actually looks like. So
I had my notes mixed up, so I did have two other things.
Go for it.
Broom's lines about the darkness. That was hilarious. Broom is scared of the dark. And Nightfire the Dragon, now that's awesome.
Yeah, he was a good looking thing as well. We also got to see the Council of Kings, which is some backstory for Etheria, I guess, with the ruling body of the planet in an early version. We also get to see Horror Hall, where Shadow Weaver apparently resides. I don't know if that's been mentioned before, but we definitely get it on display here. And Norwin is a badass. He brings Shadow Weaver down to her knees, literally. Like, she is destroyed by him as far as the magical power goes.
Oh God, such a bad. I just can't even make that bad joke.
Don't make that bad joke. But
she's on her knees, folks. You know what that means.
But he literally had so much magic that he was almost just. I like the fact that he was basically toying with her and letting her think that something was happening when the whole time he was in control and just stalling and doing things like that. Like, she's gotten a third of her power from this like magical object, and he's still 10 times more powerful than she is. So I thought it was cool to see him. He was a badass.
Have a wizard's wand like he does, you know.
And they also allude to them meeting again. I doubt that will ever happen, but they do say something about, I'll get you next time, Gadget. So as far as Fright Zone goes, I'll start. Man, another annoying kid, and this guy is up towards the top of the list. Like, he might not be quite to the level of Jeremy or Edwina or maybe one or two others, but he is darn close. He's in the top 10 probably. I thought Broom was an idiot.
Why?
At one point in this episode, I didn't write good enough notes to tell myself why. But I have written down, "You're an idiot, Broom," for some reason. And can we back the truck up a second? I went back and watched the opening because I usually skip past the opening. The first 3 or 4 episodes I watch the intro, and then after that I skip because it's another 3 minutes that I don't have to waste watching this stuff. So I usually skip past the intro, and I was like, well, maybe I've forgotten how the intro goes. So I actually went back after this episode and watched the intro before the final episode that we'll cover today. Could we go over who knows that She-Ra is She-Ra?
Okay, so we got Madame Raz,
Cowl, and Light-Ho.
Cowl, and Light-Ho.
Correct. Just those 3.
Right.
Well, and Spirit, obviously.
Yeah, Spirit's a given, though. I mean, it's...
But that's it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in this episode, she transforms directly in front of Madame Raz and Broom.
Okay, but... Yeah, you're right, kind of, but I think of Madame Raz and Broom as one entity. I mean, they are 2 separate characters.
Has there been illusions before this episode that Broom knew that she was She-Ra?
I think, it's never outright been said, but I would almost assume that he does.
I was taken aback for a second with that. I was like, wait a second, Broom doesn't know who you are.
Is Broom in the credits with Madame Raz when she appears? Okay, he's not. So
I didn't know if that was just a flub or if I had missed something in the last 40 episodes. So
yeah,
those more knowledgeable in the He-Man lore, you can let us know if Broom is supposed to know who She-Ra is. As cool as the Dark Riders looked, they were taken out way too easily.
Yeah, they were.
They're supposed to be made out to be these guys that can't be affected by magic, this, that, and the other, but apparently they're dumb as a box of rocks because they just run into anything and that's it. So I wish they would have used those to a better way. And the mistake, which I don't blame J. Michael Straczynski because I've seen so many people do it, but don't put a line of dialogue in your script that is basically setting yourself up for failure and hypocrisy, I guess, because you basically in the Shadow Weaver story say that she blames Norwin for what happened and for her not getting all the power and this, that, and the other. And then there's a line of dialogue that says, and she's hunted him ever since.
Right.
Okay, well, we've been through 45 episodes, and Shadow Weaver's probably been in half of them at least, if not 2/3 of them.
Yeah.
I've never seen her hunt this guy. I've never seen him mention his name. I've never heard of this. So if she's hunted him ever since with this passionate vengeance, I would have thought it would have came up in the last 45 episodes. So I hate it when authors or writers put a line in there that it's just a dumb line because there's no way you can support that. Mm-hmm. So the PSA was about learning from your mistakes. So they could have gone a lot of different ways, but they went with learning from your mistakes because obviously Arden made a mistake to try to take the fast route. A little preachy maybe. I didn't mind it because it actually at least fit with the episode, which we've gotten a lot lately that haven't. Right. But it's a PSA, whatever.
So the other thing, that's pretty much where I am with the PA. It's a PSA.
I'm not expecting great things. I mean,
no.
If it's something comical, or if it's something...
especially from that dumbass, multicolored piece of shit character.
Anyway. He's gonna appear in an episode coming up.
Yeah, and it's gonna be the worst episode of the entire series. I think you're gonna
be surprised.
No,
I think you're gonna be surprised.
The other thing, you mentioned earlier about that apparently she's so ugly they won't even... It just pisses me off that they won't even show her. I mean, it's like, we've seen worse in 80s cartoons as kids. I mean, look at half the crap that G.I. Joe did. I mean, come on now.
The nanny syndrome from Muppet Babies.
Oh, yeah.
So...
Well, see, I can't even count that, because all we ever see of Shadow Weaver is her floating, so she's more of a... not Angela. Damn it. Morticia. Yeah. She's more of a combination of Morticia and Nanny, but it's like I don't know. Just
All right, well on that note, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back to see if there's any more hardware to hand out for horde bats or protection swords.
Norwin, exactly what happened between you and Shadow Weaver?
It all happened shortly after the Horde first arrived on Etheria. Though we were outgunned, there was hope, as long as the Council of Kings were safe. Only a handful of us knew the secret location of their base. Among them, my students, Castaspella and Shadow Weaver. What we did not know was that Shadow Weaver had made a deal with the Horde. They would provide her with a power gem that would make her powerful beyond imagining. In exchange, she would betray the Council of Kings. I discovered what was happening too late. I destroyed the power gem, but not before she had taken 1/3 of its power. It changed her forever. And for that reason, she has hunted me ever since.
There it is! The nameless volcano. And inside, Horror Hole.
All right, another chance to award some people and add them to the nice or naughty list for us. Horde bats for you, sir.
Isn't it obvious?
I hope it's Arden.
You sure you had it written down.
I already have Arden written down, so don't make me erase anything.
Damn kid.
All right, excellent.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah.
Okay, well, I echo the sentiment for Arden getting a Horde bat, because that was just idiotic move upon idiotic move. As far as protection sword, I will hand one out to Norwin because I thought he was a badass in this episode, and I guess he's the one that teaches all the magic. So I mean, it worked with Castaspella, maybe not so much with Shadow Weaver, but he still brought her to her knees. So I'll keep referencing that,
and made her latch on to something.
Anyways, episode rating.
Talk about Mega Maid suck and blow.
All right, this is all TFG1Mike saying all these things, guys. Not myself. I'm keeping it classy. And how many crystal castles would you like to give this one out of 5?
2.
2?
Yep.
2. You're saying that this is a below average episode?
Yep. Made me wait too long for the story, and the kid was annoying as shit.
How is this episode at fault for us not getting this earlier? I don't understand.
No. I'm not saying it made me wait too long. I'm saying this specific episode, they kept.
It's 20 minutes. How long do? Come on now.
2.
No,
I
it's
stand by
a
my
4
2.
out of 5. It's
2.
4 out of 5. I'm giving this one a 4, just like last
2.
episode. You can give me backstory all day long. I love the fact.
2.
Stop. Shut up. I love the fact that we actually get to hear why Shadow Weaver is bad, how she was good, being trained under the same person that trained under Casaspella, where she got her power from, why she's hideous, that she is actually hideous, and the backstory of how this magical power is controlled on Etheria and how it all basically is being taught by this guy named Norwin, who's a badass. And Dark Riders look cool, and there was just all kinds of cool things in here. A lot of backstory, a lot of Etheria history. It's a 4 out of 5 for me. I think you're an idiot. So, all right. Well, after that debacle, everybody's going to have to weigh in on this one. So, the price of power, is it a 4 out of 5 or is it 2 out of 5? People chime in. Who is right? Who is wrong? Let us know. It's like Price is Right. You've estimated too low of a price. Maybe I've gone too high, but I think I'm right on. So, all right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with our final episode today. Something about birds and feathers.
What is your bid? $2.99.
$2.92. No, $3. I'll go 1 cent over.
Pull! Take that, Adora! Pull! Take that, Bo! Pull! Oh, that's someone to see you. Who is it? His name is Red Eye. Who did that? You said pull! You look like that miserable rebel Cowl.
He's my cousin. But we don't get along.
What do you want?
I want to join the Horde.
Yeah, you're too small to be worth much.
Wait! You say you're Cowl's cousin? Can you get me something of his?
Something of his? Like what?
Some of Cowl's feathers.
Cowl's feathers? What for?
To bring an end to the rebellion, once and for all.
I will. I'll pull out every one of Cowl's feathers.
All right, final episode up today is episode 48, Birds of a Feather. Stick Together. Tuesday, November 12th, 1985, written by Leslie Wilson. Cowl's cousin Red Eye wants to join the Horde. With the help of a couple of Cowl's feathers, he helps Shadow Weaver spy into the Whispering Woods through Red Eye, Cowl, etc., whatever. That was a terrible written plot synopsis by whoever wrote that. Horde members are Hordak, Catra, Shadow Weaver, Tongue Lashor, and some Horde troopers. Then we have She-Ra, Bo, Castaspella, Glimmer, Madame Raz, Cowl, Swiftwind, Broom, and then, of course, we meet Red Eye. So what do you think about the Cowl versus Red Eye and the spying that's going on in this episode?
I like this one.
Of course
think this was... Shut up. I think this one is really cool. This one is better than the last one.
No.
Yes. Because we don't see a lot with Cowl. I mean, sure, we know he's got a girlfriend now, and now we find out he has an evil cousin. I like this one. I thought it was pretty cool.
You're an idiot. Anyway, I like the idea that we're meeting another member of Cowl's race, even though they're supposed to be somewhat extinct and endangered, but we get to see Red Eye. I thought he was cool as far as the design goes. I like that he's, a bad guy, etc. So I had no problem with that aspect. I do have a few other issues that we'll get to, but it was a decent episode. I mean, it wasn't just like villain of the week type stuff, so I mean, there was nothing bad about it, but... Maybe I just got spoiled by getting backstory for the last 2 episodes. And we don't get into in this one, so I was a little thrown off. So, all right. I guess we'll take a break, make our final trip to Whispering Woods to see exactly what Mike likes about Red Eye and these birds of feathers.
It's embarrassing. There aren't many of my relatives left in Etheria, and he has to be one of them.
Adora, Cowl. What happened?
Nothing much. Cowl ran into a tough bird.
Doris scared him off before he could do anything. All I lost was a few feathers. So you did, cousin. And they're all I need.
We can now capture the rebels. All of them.
Explain it to me, Shadow Weaver. How?
Because Red Eye is Cowl's cousin. With these feathers, I can cast a spell that will let us read Cowl's mind.
Exactly.
What good will that be?
Because, you silly fireball, if we can see into Whispering Woods, we can see what the rebels are up to.
All right, Mike, let's hear it. What's so great about this episode?
Tell me, young Mr. Flanagan, do you know how to make a red eye? Oh, Tom Cruise in 1988's Cocktail. Good Lord. As soon as I saw the character name, I thought of that movie and that drink called a red eye. Cowl's evil cousin, yikes. I thought, again, we don't see a lot with Cowl. We don't see, he's... For someone who knows the secret, he's more of a background character than any of the other characters. So, I like that. The tough bird line, that was awesome. Well, that's interesting as far as the way the spell works. And it's like, hey, let me look into your soul. A horse that cannot tell a lie. Now that's funny. I love the voice on Red Eye. I assume that's Lou, probably. Yeah. And, Spirit telling the truth. That's always a good thing.
All right. I'll get through this pretty quick. No, I didn't hate this episode. Red Eye's cool. I actually didn't mind the sword to glider.
Yeah, that was...
I don't know how a sword turns into all that.
I'm sorry. I'll
keep it up. Sword to glider. We got another one. And slick move by She-Ra to trick Hordak. I like that, knowing that they were being spied on, kind of throwing the voice and saying other things. It was also a cool effect on She-Ra's voice when she was calling for the birds. Mm-hmm. So I liked that. But otherwise, there just wasn't a lot that stood out to me that was like fantastic. I mean, it was a fine episode, but that's about it. So anything for you for Fright Zone?
Yeah.
What do you got?
Swifty, what is it? They froze my wing. Are you fucking blind, She-Ra? Can you not see the frozen wing to your left? Are you seriously? Like, the way that the freeze ray hits his wing, she's looking to the left, and she doesn't even see it happen, and she has to ask him what's wrong. Give me a fucking break over here.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Yeah, for me, I guess my only thing was Swiftwind just lied to Cowl. Because he said that he wouldn't say anything, but if asked, he will not lie.
Right.
But instead of having someone actually ask him, he volunteers the information. So he just downright lied to Cowl. Nobody even had to ask him. So why didn't they just write it in that either someone asked him or... I mean, they made Swiftwind into a liar. So that's BS. Like, Swiftwind's better than that. And I thought Cowl's species was almost extinct, but they kind of touch on that there's very few of them left. So I guess that's fine. The PSA is all about talking over your problems with someone who cares. Mm-hmm. Anything on that one?
Whether that be a parent or a teacher or a priest. Oh, wait. No, you can't use priests anymore.
All right.
I know it's horrible, folks, but
anyway.
Just the way this podcast has turned out.
Okay, then. We're going to take a break before we go down that rabbit hole any further, and we'll be back with our last chance to hand out some hardware for today.
That's it. Shadow Weaver can use those feathers to read Cowl's mind. She can see and hear everything we do.
Then I'm just like a Horde spy.
All right, sir. Horde Bats or Protection Swords, your last chance today to get some out of your trophy case and into the hands of some deserved people. Who do you got?
I gotta give a Horde Bat to She-Ra. She just... What's wrong, Swifty? I don't know I'm blind over... Can you not look to the left, bitch? Seriously. Just for not being like, and I don't know if it was an animation thing or what. It's like, oh god. So yeah, She-Ra gets a horde bat. Protection swords, I'm going to give one each to Kyle and Red Eye because I really love their exchanges with each other. There's nothing more amusing than family squabbling.
All right, well, I got a horde bat for Hordak for falling for She-Ra just doing the quick change as far as saying stuff, and Hordak fell hook, line, and sinker for it. So I will give She-Ra a protection sword for getting the one up on Hordak in that instance. So horde bat for Hordak, protection sword for She-Ra. That's the way the universe is supposed to work. So that works. Crystal Castles, let me guess, what, you're 5 out of 5 for you for this one?
No, 4.
4. This is a 4. Last episode is a 2.
Yep.
You're dumb.
No, I'm not.
This was an episode. It was an episode. It was nothing bad. It was nothing good. That's why it gets a 3 out of 5, which is a rightful score for this. 3 out of 5. It's the worst episode of today, but it's still a decent episode.
Anyway.
So, all right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back. We'll close out with our final thoughts and give you a chance to take a look at what we're going to be talking about next time.
It's Showtime Synergy. The latest review podcast from the Geekcast Radio Network is here. So join TFG1Mike, Nicole Hailstorm, and myself, Lady Rec, as we will be reviewing all 65 episodes of Joe and the Holograms in a 25-episode-long podcast. You can find Showtime Synergy on iTunes and GeekCastRadio.com. We are the truly outrageous podcast that you want to be listening to.
Because the world needs another movie podcast.
The Geekcast Radio Network presents for your listening pleasure the Cinema Geek.
Hosted by Amanda, Kevin, Matt, and Dan.
Each week we dive headfirst in the landscape of movies as we discuss movie news, play movie games,
go in-depth on reviews,
and even have a top 10 countdown or two.
Also, don't miss our director retrospective series, where we review noted directors' movies film by film. Bottom line is, if you love movies and love podcasts, you need to experience the Cinema Geeks.
You can find us on iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, or GeekCastRadio.com.
Here at the GCRN, we have been assimilating the world of geekdom for over 5 years now. The Geekcast Radio Network brings you a multitude of geek content, from blogs and reviews to podcasts covering comics, film, TV, cartoon, gaming, and so much more. If we don't have it,
we don't have it. We partner with the best and most diverse podcasts on the net, covering Doctor Who, G.I. Joe, Punisher, Turtles, and more. We have more than your ears and eyes can handle. Join the Geek Revolution at GeekCastRadio.com, and remember to unleash the geek in you.
Ah, brave new world that has such putzes in it. You know, kids, a lot has changed while your old Uncle Joker's been away. New Gotham, new rules, even a new Batman.
It isn't 65 years in the future, but Legends of the Dark Knight has gone beyond. Batman Beyond, that is.
Ah, the new boy. Ears are too long and I miss the cape, but not too shabby. Not too shabby at all.
Join Steve and Mike as they delve into the remaining episodes of the podcast, where they'll cover Batman Beyond, products, games, and more. Check it out only on GeekCastRadio.com.
We are back here on the Powers of Grayskull series, Myths of Etheria, episode 62. So we're just over the halfway point of the series. Thoughts?
We've been asking for backstory for a long time, and we get it here with a bunch of different angles. We get the backstory with Glimmer and Adora and their father. We get the backstory with Shadow Weaver and where her power came from, as well as Castaspella a little bit. Got to see a relative of Cowl. So we got a lot of it. We got to see the Harpies again. So I was actually pleasantly surprised. I looked at the titles of these episodes, and nothing excited me about this one going into it. I thought it was going to be kind of a lame episode. I am looking forward to some stuff coming up, just because I've seen a little bits and pieces of who's in certain episodes. So I've been looking forward to that, and I thought this was just going to be a painful exercise waiting to get there. But I was pleasantly surprised. I liked what we got here. I liked the backstory. I liked that they're finally figuring out that they have done everything else to death, and they start needing to delve into some of this stuff. So I'm excited for what we have coming up here towards the end of season 1 and to begin the next season. So I'm all in. I'm not a grumpy old man right now. That may come later.
Yeah, that's probably going to come later. I wish there was more of the war, honestly. Like, we've had one episode out of 46 where they actually showed them fighting over the planet. So, yeah, it's great that we've gotten some of the backstories and stuff like that, and that's all well and cool. We've gotten some interesting character introductions with Kyle's evil cousin and Shadow Weaver's backstory, even though in the episode it just... And again, it's not that they it is that they drag the backstory out, but it's more so, again, it's probably for me with the pacing of just the way that the episode's written, and that's J. Michael Straczynski. The guy can write, but I mean, come on. Just took forever for me. Coming up, I don't, like I said at the beginning of this episode of the podcast, I don't know. I don't even know or can even try to predict anything as far as what I want coming up out of this show, because I just don't know what the hell is going to happen half the time.
Yeah, it is a kind of a wild card every time. You never know what you're going to get from these episodes. So it's I'm always surprised on what I never know going in if I'm going to like it or dislike it. I mean, usually they're not very obvious. So
yeah. All right. Thank you for listening to Myths of Etheria. If you'd like to get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show, there are several ways to do so. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on this and all other episode posts. Leave the show's feedback in iTunes. Please do this. Follow us on Twitter at GeekCastRadio is the network Twitter. You can follow at Pow of GRAYSKULL for the show. Mine is TFG1Mike. What is your Twitter?
At OptimusSolo.
Become a fan of us on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/GeekCastRadio If you want to, you can leave voicemails, 502-526-5821. Any voicemails will be played in the final episode of the She-Ra series, which is episode 82 of the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the myths today, and don't forget to join us on our next adventure, when we will be taking a look at the next 3 episodes of She-Ra, For Want of a Horse. Okay, that's a horse of a different color. Just Like Me. And My Friend, My Enemy.
Dun, dun, dun.
Boy. For some odd reason, I feel like I've already seen that one, even though I don't even know what the hell it is. I haven't even looked, because we've talked about this before. You've already done all the production on the scripts for the rest of season 1, and I haven't looked at episode 63 script, but just that title I feel like I've seen it already. I don't know why. For now, I am TFG1Mike with...
the one and only OptimusSolo.
By the power and for the honor of GRAYSKULL, you all have the power.
Bye now, see you